What's up guys, it's Alex the Magician here, and in this video I wanted to start a mini-series of basically creature guards for creature banks, artifacts, and things like that. In this first video I will be covering early game guards, and we'll be focusing on the creatures, the ones that you can and cannot fight on day 1, 2, and 3. In later videos, I will also cover the main breaks or side breaks, and I'll also cover the guards for the center, in the center for the objects here as well. And I will also cover in later videos how to fight the more difficult guards, like for example, like Sea Dogs or something like that. In this video, mainly I will just focus on determining what you can and cannot fight, and I'll explain to you guys why. So mainly day 1, 2, and 3, the early game, it's a bit tricky because you're going to be depending mostly on your day 1 stack, on your level 1 creatures, and it's easy to lose them. It's very easy to lose them. So what you gotta do is you gotta look for creature banks that are guarded by something that is doable for you with minimal losses or no losses. Because, for example, these Ogre Magi here, you know, if I die, if I lose all of my Troglodytes doing this fight, then I have nothing left to actually take the Dragonfly Hive, and that means I'm screwed. That means I basically lose the game there. So what you want to do is you want to lose the minimum, trying to do that guard, and then you want to take the Hive, and then once you start to get a stack of Wyvern going, you can start trading away your level 1 units. So they're not going to be as important anymore once you actually start to get power stack snowballing. But until then, you want to conserve them as much as possible. So it's very important to determine what creatures you can and cannot fight on day 1, 2, and 3. So a couple of things that you guys want to look out for when you're looking at these guards and determining whether or not you can fight them. So first of all, you want to see what they're guarding, right? You want to see whether they're guarding one object or multiple ones. So for example, like these Ogre Magi here, they're not only guarding this Hive, but they're also guarding this Spell Scroll. Normally, if the Ogre Magi are just guarding the Hive, I would fight them on day 1. That would be no problem. But since there are 2049 of them, this is suspicious. This could be a level 5 scroll, like Dimension Door or something like that. So what that would mean is that there could be like 30, 35, or 40 of them. So that means that this could be a lot more difficult. So maybe I would actually avoid this. I would try to avoid fighting these guys. Also, like here, we have Griffins guarding not only the Manticore lair, but also this Ring of Sulfur. And there are 5099 of them. If there was only the Manticore lair, that would be 2049. So I may actually avoid this because this is also a useless artifact. I really don't need that. Or these satyrs here. Normally, I would be okay fighting satyrs if they're guarding only the experimental shop, but they're also guarding a couple of piles of resources and a Naga bank, so there could be a lot of them, so I would probably avoid this fight as well. Now, this is something that you want to look for. For example, here, 2049 dwarves guarding Manticore lair. This is easy. This is totally doable, and this is the kind of stuff you want to look for. Now, the other thing besides multiple objects and artifacts that they're guarding, what you got to look out for is quest artifacts. So, for example, we have these monks guarding these two artifacts, and it looks like this Ring of Suppression is definitely a quest artifact. What that means is that you have these Seers huts on other biomes. Well, you have some in your biome as well, but if you find a quest artifact on your biome, you will be able to trade it for like army or gold or experience or resources in another Seers hut. It's random. So I actually already know that this one is looking for the Ring of Suppression. So I'm just going to do this fight to see how much value this Ring of Suppression adds to this. So you see, there were actually 30 of these monks here. So that's actually a lot to be guarding just these two artifacts, right? So let's just see how much value that Ring of Suppression added. So you see 15k experience. So this is like 20k value added to that. So this is something you really have to look out for, because sometimes you may find an object that is guarded by You know, so like something like this, right? You're like, oh, this should be easy. This is a shitty artifact. But that artifact actually adds 10 or 15k value because it is a quest artifact. So just look out for that. A useful way to determine whether it's a quest artifact or not is if it's not part of a set. So, like for example, the Vampire's Cowl cannot be a quest artifact because it is a part of a set. But something like this Petrified Wood, the Breastplate of Petrified Wood, this can be a quest artifact because it is not part of a set. So usually only artifacts that are not part of a set are quest artifacts. So just look out for that as well. Now, so I will just go through some of these objects and some of these guards to let you guys know which ones you can and cannot do on day one. In general, you want to stay away from anything ranged. So something like these Sea Dogs here, this is impossible because the Sea Dogs are not only ranged, but they also have some nasty abilities. So in general, you want to fight things that are not too fast, not too beefy, and not ranged. So like these dwarves are fine. The Ogre Magi would have been fine if they're only guarding a hive, but this is a little bit dangerous. Satyrs are okay if they're only guarding the experimental shops, but they are somewhat fast. They do have speed 7, and they do have that ability to give themselves mirth, so that is a little bit more difficult. Cyclop Kings, this is impossible. You want to stay away from that. Sharpshooters, you want to stay away from that. Grand Elves, you want to stay away from that. So besides the ranged units, so we've covered that basically you want to stay away from all ranged units. The only time where you do want to fight ranged units is if you have blocks on the road. Like for example, these Orc Chieftains here, you can't really go around them, right? You have to fight them. You want to avoid that kind of stuff as much as possible, but in some cases you may not be able to avoid them. So if you do have something like this on the road, usually it's not going to be too heavy of a guard. This is probably closer to 20 than 49. You can do them. You will lose some stuff, so you do want to avoid that as much as possible, but sometimes you're blocked on the road and you don't have any restart, so you just have to take those fights. So in some cases you end up taking that. But the creature bank guards, like the Sea Dogs here, for example, you want to avoid as much as possible. So you want to look for creature bank guards that are going to be easy enough for you to do with minimal to no losses on day 1, 2, and 3. Now, besides the range guards, you want to stay away from units that have nasty abilities. So, for example, vampires, right? Vampires have no retaliation. That makes them pretty difficult to fight. Also, Vampire Lords are pretty much impossible because of their healing ability, so you want to stay away from that as well. You want to stay away from level 6 and 7 units, usually, because they are pretty beefy. Like these War Unicorns, I don't want to fight, because they are really beefy, and they also have that blind ability, so you want to stay away from that. Something like 5 to 9 Champions, or 5 to 9 Cavaliers, or Manticores, or something like that, you can fight. But still, you want to make sure. You want to make sure that you're actually able to kill them, because they are still going to be really beefy. They're still not going to be easy to fight on day 1, 2, and 3. And you also want to stay away from other units like Mighty Gorgons, for example, because they are beefy and they have that death stare. You want to be careful with Basilisks. They're generally okay, but they do have that petrify ability, so they could end up screwing you by that. Things like Minotaur Kings, you can get high rolled and you can die to them because, and they do have morale. Things like Genies, they do hit pretty hard, so if there's a lot of them, generally you can do Genies, but Master Genies you probably want to stay away from because they have that spell casting ability. Dragonflies, in some cases you can do, but they are really fast and they can reach you on turn 1, so that means that you probably will take some damage. So in general, you're looking for something that's not ranged, not too fast, and doesn't have nasty abilities, and is not too tanky. So something like level 1 or 2 units, like these Gremlins, Imps are fine, Nymphs are fine, Ogre Magi are generally fine as long as you don't suspect that there are too many of them. These dwarves are really great. This is a great guard. So let's just continue. Something like this, 2049 rogues guarding a fire lake, that's completely fine. These nomads guarding this are okay. There could be a lot of them, but I think I could do this fight. These troglodytes guarding this experimental shop, completely fine. Hobgoblins guarding the red tower, also completely fine. These wyvern monarchs, for example, guarding a conch and a forsaken palace and a treasure chest, you may want to stay away from, but 5-9 of them, there probably are about 9 of them, so you could try to do that fight, but you would lose something. So, Corsairs, stay away from for sure. The Silver Pegasi, you can do, but in some cases you do want to avoid because they're really fast. They can get in your face right away. And if they're guarding multiple things like that, there probably is closer to 40 of them than 20. So you may want to avoid that. The imps here, the familiars here, you can do no problem. So you see, there are like these crewmates you can do no problem. So you guys see that there are a lot of doable guards, so there really is no reason to try to fight something really unreasonable like these seed hugs, for example, right? So what you want to do, if you see a lot of ranged and unreasonable guards for objects, you just want to take a restart. You want to look for on turn 1, 2, and 3, you know, and when you're deciding whether or not you want to take a restart, you just want to see what creatures are easy enough for you to fight on day 1, 2, and 3. And if there are enough of them, then you can actually decide to continue, and then you can start snowballing your army, and then you can start doing some of the more difficult fights. Alright guys, this is about everything I wanted to cover in this video. In the next video, I will actually add a demonstration of doing some of these fights, and also I'll start talking about how to actually do the more difficult fights. Right now, I will just mention in general that to do the more difficult fights, like for example these Sea Dogs or something with nasty abilities like Dendroid Binds or something like that, you would generally need tactics for ranged guards or haste or fast units like angels that can get in their face right away, or some kind of magic that can nullify their abilities, you know, maybe take a lot of their army out, like for example Solmir's Chain Lightning or something like that. And you would also need a power stack and good stats in certain cases. So I'll cover that in more detail in the next video. Alright, that's it for now, guys. So hopefully you guys found this video informative. Thank you guys for watching, and if you guys want to check out more Heroes 3 content, check out my Twitch stream. I will have the link in the description below. I stream right now every day from Thursday to Monday, starting around noon Eastern European time. So feel free to follow me on Twitch so you guys get notified when I go live. And I do release other videos, Heroes 3 strategy videos, just about every week. So if you guys are interested in seeing more videos, then you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll get notified when I release more videos. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for more.